Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I wanted to inform everybody on the channel that there have been some developments in the situation at the University of Missouri. In case you don't know, there was a student who actually held a hunger strike to protest some of the racism and the lack of response that was occurring to the racism, and he was his target in the hunger strike. And I got to make sure I grab this brother's name who actually did the hunger strike because he's very important on this. The target of his frustration was University System President Tim Wolfe, who refused to resign, even though he was quite embattled. There were a lot of people who were questioning his leadership, and eventually the University of Missouri football players made the heroic decision to support this brother who was pursuing the hunger strike, and which I thought was absolutely amazing, and I thought it was a great show of solidarity, in the sense that what they did there was absolutely historic. I just think that, we have to realize that the black male athlete is one of the most cherished, most valuable economic commodities for many predominantly white universities. Most of these schools don't pay the athletes much of anything. Maybe some of them pay their families a little bit of money under the table, but for in general, to give you an idea of how much money you're talking about, this week when the school was going to play against Brigham Young University, the university would have had to write a check to BYU for $1 million, $1 million for one game. $1 million for one game. Now, mind you, at the same time, you've got players who have family members who are about to be evicted, who can barely pay the rent, and they're putting their lives on the line to earn this money. But they're not getting hardly any of it. A university scholarship is valuable, but remember, it doesn't cost a whole lot of money to put another butt in a seat. If I have a class of 50 people, it's not a big deal for me to have a class of 55. It doesn't cost me any extra money. So, this idea that they're getting these valuable scholarships, I think is quite questionable, especially since they're not allowed to put their academics ahead of their athletics. In fact, when I used to teach. When I used to teach at the University of Kentucky, I remember tutoring some of the athletes, and I remember some of them would tell me that there was a that there was basically pressure that they felt from coaches, and it wasn't just artificial pressure; it was real pressure to change the majors. They were told, one guy wanted to be an engineer, and his coaches pretty much told him the engineering wouldn't fit with his football schedule, so they had him switch over to something easier. So a lot of times, athletics ends up pushing sports off the table, and so athletes are getting screwed kind of all the way around. And what I like about the Missouri situation is that the athletes seem to have gained some understanding of how much power they have, and they also have an understanding of how politics works. People don't do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. People do the right thing because you make them do it. Let's make sure we're clear on that. People do the right thing because you force their hand. When the university was faced with losing this $1 million from this football game, that changed everything. And then the hunger strike. I think, now mind you, I'm not really that guy that's gonna go, do a hunger strike on a white campus to get white people to let me be a part of their school. That's not something that appeals to me. I'm a big believer in black people building our own, because you don't really see white people holding hunger strikes to get a chance to, go to black universities or to be treated fairly at an HBCU. You don't really see that, right? But at the same time, to the extent that he's committed to wanting to be a part of that campus and the student body and achieve this, this equality, I think that, the hunger strike was a very powerful, symbolic way to kind of move forward. I think it definitely it put the onus on the university to kind of be responsive to the fact that this brother's health. Jonathan Butler is his name. That's the name of the brother, the graduate student who held the hunger strike. It caused him to pay attention. And that opened the door. And then the football players joining in solidarity with Butler, I thought was a huge move. When I was at the University of Kentucky, a black female student was attacked by a white student on her way to class with a knife. He put a knife to her throat and said, "If you don't like your life here on this campus, we can end it for you." And the reason that they attacked her was because she wrote a letter in support of one of my articles. Back when I used to write in the newspaper at the University of Kentucky, the majority of the students didn't like what I had to say because most of them were white. and uh, and so the girl was so traumatized she eventually left school. Her name was Tanya Clay, or Tanya was it was Tanya something. I believe it was Clay, but maybe that maybe the last name's wrong. But anyway, it was a long time ago. But anyway, afterward, we held a protest and we were fighting on behalf of not just this young lady, but also just against the conditions that we were enduring on this campus. And lo and behold, I remember talking to some of the athletes about it, and like the basketball players, because the basketball players were about to play in the Final Four, and most of them were kind of oblivious to it. Most of them would never risk their status on the plantation over something that affected black people. So that's kind of what you deal with, where you have this divide and conquer, where you have athletes that become these elite propped up Negroes that are kind of controlled under the university system, and they're isolated and distanced away from the majority, the masses of black people. That's what integration has done to us on a broader systemic level. We have the elite Negroes who are pulled into the institutions and given preferential treatment and treated quite well, kind of like the Hunger Games. And then we have the masses of black people who are fighting the struggle, and the elite black people have always remained disconnected. Well, now I think things are changing. I think that because we're able to communicate more effectively, because we're able to hold elite Negroes accountable for their behavior, you're starting to see some of them actually speak the truth. Like I remember when the rapper Common went out on TV and said some ridiculous stuff about forgetting about the past and all that stuff. People checked him on that, and the thing is, Common's a good guy. I know people that know Common, and I respect Common, but I said, yeah, he needed to be checked on that. Don't go out there saying that stuff about let's forget about the past. You can't do that, And so ultimately, I just think this whole situation was symbolic of a better day when it comes to activism, a better day when it comes to true Black power, a better day when it comes to forcing the agenda forward, and hopefully the next step on that better day will be for us to not just overcome racism by fighting it, but to transcend racism by building our own. When you own your own stuff, you don't have to worry about people mistreating you. No one will ever come into your house and disrespect you, because you know why? Because you can put them out. You understand? So that's why I'm big on building my own. I can say this: when I stopped working around white people every day, uh, I really didn't have to deal with racism anymore. No, no, it's not to say that I can't work with white people. I don't like white people, but every day I work with black people, and we feed our families, and we do our work, and everybody treats each other with respect. And if people don't like you, it's not because of the color of your skin. It might be because you're an asshole, but that's actually refreshing, that you can be a good person and still be respected despite the color of your skin. So don't just fight against the white man in his house on his territory, because he will always have the advantage over you. Learn how to get your own territory, your own house, and then other people will have to deal with you if they come into your space. So, but with that being said, I love what the athletes did. I'm glad the president resigned. I kind of felt it was going in that direction. I couldn't imagine how he could stay in his post in that way. When black people are unified, when we come together, we really can't be stopped. So find ways to achieve unity, and let's move forward. Let's be strong. And also, don't forget, let's build our own. Until we meet again, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. You can check us out at theblackbusinessschool.com. It's free to join. Classes have a low fee attached to them, but it's far worth. It's a tremendous value. So go check out theblackbusinessschool.com if you get a chance. Until we meet again, stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.